You're now tuned into the Real Rap Radio Show. I'm your host, Walil Archer on Down to Hot Radio. I have a special guest with me. I have Mike. How are you today?
Hey, it's been a great day.
Nice, nice, nice. Thanks for joining me today.
You're welcome.
I'm looking forward to learning more about your book. So let the listeners know about the title of your book.
Uh, on Becoming an Effing Man is the title of my book.
Okay. And how did you come up with that title?
Well, about 5 years ago, I was out walking my dog and I heard a voice. The voice said, Michael, I want you to write a book, and this is the title. So I went, okay, all right. Um, so I said, okay. I didn't do anything about it for a while. My wife died in December of 2019 unexpectedly, and I was living in Seattle, and I said I need to change. So I moved to Portland, Oregon, and in January of 2020, and right after that, the pandemic hit, and I'm an avid ballroom dancer, and there was absolutely no dancing. So I said, well, maybe I better take a look at writing this book. And so I started it, and the book is based upon a spiritual program for men that was developed by my therapist of 30 years, Lori Mizell, and a Catholic priest named Father Bob Camuso. I introduced them to each other and they hit it off and they developed a men's spiritual program that was not basically based on religion. And so I took the 30-day um, pamphlet that they wrote and put that in book form and I added some things to it. I have a chapter on addiction, and I have a chapter on father wounds, and some other things that I did that the pamphlet did not address, and came up with a book. So that was is basically how I developed the book.
Okay. So one of the chapters you said is based on addiction.
I do have a chapter on addiction,
Okay. And
and
elaborate. Okay, go ahead.
I'm in the 12-step program, so addiction is very important to me. And I read about it in the book. I talk about my addiction in the book, and that father wounds is something that all of us men have. And I talk about how to develop a relationship with your father when you have hurts that have been developed over growing up.
Wow. So now, when the readers read your book, what do you want them to take away from reading your book?
Well, I basically uh, want a man, which comes from one of the chapters of my book. Uh, it is chapter 17 on beliefs. And Laurie Mizell put the meditation for that chapter, and I'm quoting it now. I cannot change the world, but I can change my mind. And when I change my mind, the world and I are changed. That's basically the synopsis of the book. Try to get a man to think about things differently. If they're angry, upset, try to look at the situation in a different way, and maybe their anger will go away and they'll feel peaceful.
Okay. Now, when you was writing the book, did you experience writer's block? And if so, how did you overcome it?
No, I did not. When I started writing the book, it just flew by. It took maybe 3 months to write the book, and I would take a chapter of the book. It doesn't matter which one it was, beliefs or something else, and then I went to the internet and I put in the title of the book, and all kinds of writings from other people came up, and none of it was copyrighted, and so I many times would put that in the book as additional information. So I have a chapter here on forgiveness, uh, and which is very important. And I'm kind of looking for it right now. Uh, Well, I'll take the one on grudges. Grudges are something we have. And basically, I credit the person who wrote it uh, in my book, whoever did write it. And I am able to add quite a bit of material that other people have done, and it's all very good.
How many chapters does your book have?
How many chapters?
Yes.
Let me look. 49.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
quite a few chapters. And, I can tell you, I've got things like addiction, which I've already had, grudges, kindness, spiritual uh, walkabout, gratitude, love. How's it going in the book? I talk about my ego and how we have to avoid listening to our ego, an initiation retreat, beliefs, brotherhood, how to relax, relationships, father wounds, fear, forgiveness, and being in the now. So those are some of the names of the chapters in my book.
Wow, you really cover a lot of great topics.
I try not to leave anything out of
It don't sound like you did.
it.
Don't sound like you
I'm
did.
sure somebody can come up with something if they read my book and say, "Well, you didn't talk about whatever," and that possibly could have happened.
Possibly, but it sounds like you got everything pretty much all areas covered. Great
Right.
job.
Yeah. Right. And I'm 75 years old, so I've been around the block a few times, and I've had my struggles, and I've tried to uh, correct them and try to learn from them and not get upset by them. That's really something I think that men do when they get upset. All learning stops for that man. If they get upset, they just cannot learn anymore, and they have to try to be peaceful and see it another way.
All right, the next topic I definitely want to talk about is how to relax. If you could share some insight of what you put in the book on how to relax, that would be great.
Well, I think the question the man has to say is, I'm not relaxed right now. What is preventing me from being relaxed?
Mm.
There's something going on in me that's upsetting me. So they need to identify whatever it is, and then back to my initial thing is, how can I look at what's upsetting me differently? How can I try to find some goodness in this, or what can I learn from this? So that's really what I try to do, in getting a man to not live by why they are upset.
Makes sense. Now tell me this, Mike. You have 49 chapters. How did you identify what topics you wanted to put in the book?
Well, given I had a platform to go with, which was the 30-day pamphlet, I had 30 chapters already done.
Okay.
And I basically asked myself, well, what is missing? What what are some issues that men deal with? And again, being I've been around the block a few times with my age, I was able to come up with other things that men get upset by. And as I mentioned previously, some of the chapters, um, and they just kind of came to me. I, you know, uh, I guess it's just through my personal growth. I just kind of said, well, what are some things that upset men? And I was able to come up with things and try to get them to um, to focus on it. Now, while it is the book is not based on any religious doctrine, And I do not use the words God, Jesus Christ, or Holy Spirit in the book. I only use the word higher power, which is basically the 12-step spiritual program. And that is what I have done. And so if we have men who are coming and want to read my book and they have some religious issues that are bothering them, hopefully my book will not trigger them, because if it triggers them, they're going to stop learning about themselves because they're being angry.
If you had to identify the top three chapters that you really want men to focus on, what would be your top three chapters?
Good question. Let me look up my chapters and I will tell you. I would say addiction is one,
Okay.
in that I believe we all have addictions. Um, I would say grudges is another,
Okay.
in that when we're angry, we basically stop being a functioning man. So I think that is another one. And I would say forgiveness is probably the third one. Um, when I meet men that are upset, I try to get them into a mode of trying to forgive. If they can forgive, all is well. And that I would think forgiveness is probably the most important. Even though I mentioned the other two, I think forgiveness and how a man can forgive, that frees them up to be a happy man.
Okay. Now, do you talk about any steps that they can start with to forgive?
Well, I think step number one is to identify what's upsetting you. That's step number one. Step number two would be, oh, what could I say? How Ask the question: is there another way to look at the situation? Is there another way to look at it? And I think my step three is basically to look at that person that's upsetting you and try enunciating the words, I forgive you. And it's a type of forgiveness that is wipe the slate clean forgiveness. There's nothing attached to making that statement. And that if they make that statement, I forgive you, and then they see what they're feeling, what feeling comes to them after they say those words, I think they will become a very happy man.
Gotcha. Now, do you have any plans on writing another book after this one?
Well, I have some ideas. There are some books I think that need to be written, um, but I really don't have anything chomping at the bit that I need to write it. I've been focusing just on my first book, and we'll just see what happens.
Nice. And once again, congratulations on your first book.
Yeah.
And let the listeners know, where can they find your book at for online for purchase?
Well, basically, Amazon. My publisher is Dorrance Publishing, and Barnes and Noble also have it. Those are the three that you can just go to online and you can get the book.
Awesome. And Mike, as we begin to close out, any final thoughts or closing remarks?
Well, I thank you for this opportunity, Walil. Thank you for uh, letting me share my thoughts with you. I'm very appreciative of this opportunity. I would say a man could just, sometimes we need to do things that we don't know why they're doing them. And sometimes those are the greatest times that we have in our life, when we just happen to do something. And I think buying my book will give you some insights into how to become a happier and fulfilled man, which we're always looking for to do, and just see what happens. I mean, it doesn't. The book is not very expensive, and you can buy it, read it, and if you like it, great. And if you don't like it, my email's in the book. Send me an email telling me why I didn't like it.
Sounds good. Sounds good, Mike. I'd like to thank you for doing the interview today.
Well, I really enjoyed this discussion. Thank you so much, my friend.
My pleasure. So that's my time today on the Real Rap Radio Show. And I'll see you guys next time on the Real Rap Radio Show with Walil Archer on Downtown Hot Radio. Peace and blessings, everyone.
Bye.